week 4, lesson 4. So at the top of this worksheet, you're seeing sort of a chart that describes the correlation coefficient, which is what we're going to be finding today with we're going to do it 2 different ways actually. We're going to use our graphing display calculator, and you're also going to learn how to do it by hand, which also involves your calculator. It's kind of strange, but we'll get there. Anyway, what you're seeing up top here are different words that you'll be able to use right up here to describe what sort of a correlation there is between data. All right, so moving down below here, you can kind of see that I've given you a chart, and it's saying that we're going to use your graphing display calculator to find the line of regression. All right, so the first thing I want you to know is that we're going to put this data for the year into list 1, and we're going to put this into list 2. Now, it's really important right here that instead of putting these numbers, we're going to use 0 for 2010 and 1 for 2011 and 2, etc. Otherwise, the numbers end up being really, really, really big and kind of hard to deal with. So instead, we're going to keep them nice and small. Okay, so if you're looking at the screen, you can see that in list 1, I put the years, like I said I was going to, and in list 2, I have the actual inches of rainfall, like I said I was going to. So I'm trying to do problem number 1, which is to use the graphing display calculator to find the line of regression. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to the stat menu, and I'm going right 1 to the calculate menu. And if you look right here, number 4, it says line of regression AX plus B. That's the one that we want to use, not this one down here. Okay, I know this also says linear regression. I want this one because it looks like MX plus B, right? So when it calculates this for me, I'm going to have A being my slope and B being my y-intercept. So you can either scroll down or just hit the number 4. And now it's asking, okay, so where am I finding the data? Okay, so I have my X list, my X values in list number 1. I've got my Y values in list number 2. I'm just going to go ahead and use my downward arrow until I get to calculate. And I'm going to hit enter. And you can see right there that I now have my line of regression. The A value is going to be my slope, and the B value is going to be my y-intercept. Make sure you round those to 3 significant figures. All right, so now if you're looking at your the worksheet in front of you, then problem number 2 says, let's find the correlation coefficient. Your calculator will do that for you also, but notice that it's not showing up on the screen right now, and that's because we have to actually tell the calculator to do it, and by default, it doesn't do it. So you're going to have to hit catalog, which is right here, right? Hopefully you can see my cursor circling it. So I'm going to hit second and 0. And we're going to have to scroll way, way, way down to something that says diagnostic on. Okay, so again, this is just a lot of downward arrows until I can find diagnostic on. We should be getting close. Oh, there it is, diagnostic on. I go ahead and hit enter and enter one more time, and it tells you now on your screen that you have turned it on. So now if I go back to the stat menu and I calculate the line of regression, literally like we just did, and hit calculate, you will get a correlation coefficient. It's that R value at the very, very, very bottom to 4. I don't know why I did this to 4 significant figures on my paper, but I'm going to go ahead and keep that as negative 0.9898. Okay, so now that we have the equation and the correlation coefficient, I'm going to go ahead and jump down here. Predict how many inches of rainfall there will be in the year 2020. Well, again, the equation that we came up with was y is equal to negative 0.711x plus 9.98. All right, and in the year 2020, right, that's not what I'm going to put in for x. I'm going to put in x equals 10. If you remember, back over here, we let the year 2010 be year 0. So you kind of have to adjust what we're putting in. And if you plug 10 in here and you use your calculator, you'll get a prediction of approximately 2.87 inches of rainfall. All right, let me scoot this up. All right, so for this particular table, we're gonna put the top row into list 1. And in the bottom row, we're gonna put this into list 2. And then I will go ahead and explain on how to figure out, using your calculator, to find the correlation coefficient and how to fill in the rest of this chart. Okay, so if you're looking at the screen, you can see on the calculator, I have the data for English in my list 1, and I have the data for humanities in list 2. All right, and then again, if you're looking at problem number 1, it says use your graphing display calculator to find the linear regression equation. Okay, we just did that on the last example. I'll show you again how to do it very, very quickly. So if you go to the stat menu and you go to the right one to calculate, we want the linear regression line, which is option number 4. You hit enter. It's asking, all right, so where exactly is all this data? And we put it in list 1 and list 2. We go down to calculate. And you'll get this equation of y, and again, I'm rounding to 3 significant figures always, of y equals 0.528x plus 38.7. All right. And then again, if you continue to read the problem, it says, now use that equation to predict a score if x is equal to 75. So if you plug that in, again, I'm not showing you this part, but you should be getting a score of 78.3. It also says find the correlation coefficient using your calculator. Notice that it's not here, or at least not on mine, because I cleared my memory. You might still have it opened up on yours, but I'm going to go down to catalog. I'm going to go down as far as I can to diagnostic on. Sorry for the delay. I'm sure you're hearing my mouse clicks. Oh, I missed it. Up one. Diagnostic on. Let's go back to stat and find the correlation coefficient. All right, so we should get a correlation coefficient at the very bottom number rounded to 3 significant digits of 0.863. Okay, now down below, you're seeing a big, giant, empty table, all right, which would take a long time to actually do by hand. When it says by hand, it just means that, like, I know what the answer is. We just figured the answer that we're hoping to get is 0.863, but you need to be able to show how to do it on your calculator. So in list 3, so let me go back over here to, sorry about that. Let me go to my stat menu, and I'm going to edit so that I can fill in list 3. So list 3, if I go up to the top where the title is, I want list 3 to be the first column squared, right? List 1 is just the X's, so list 3 needs to be that first column. In other words, list 1 squared. Okay, so that fills that in. And then list 4 is going to be the second column squared. So let me move to the right and up one and call this list 2 squared. Fills that in for you too. And then the very, very last column is X times Y. So that's list 1 times list 2. So list 1 times list 2. All right, so this fills in the columns for you. What it does not give you is the sum at the very, very bottom of those columns. I've already shown you how to do that. You'll have to get out of this. So here, let's get out. All right, and then you can find the sum of each of the columns. So again, the way to do that is to go to your list menu, scroll over to the right twice, and you'll find the sum option. Now that we have the whole chart filled in, which you can see kind of at the bottom of your screen, we need to do these calculations that you're seeing at the top of the screen. So it's just a question of knowing which number is which and plugging them in. So this is going to be 528 over 10, which is 52.8. This is going to be 666 over 10, which is 66.6. this is going to be 38,640 over 10 minus the other two numbers. Oops. All right, 3,4,464 over 10 minus the mean squared. Sorry, that's a 6. Let me fix that. Hold on. There we go. 650. Oh, what is up with me? 58.56. Okay, this one is okay, and this one's actually probably that you're watching me compute right now. Really important because that's a 4. Here you're finding the sum squared, and here it doesn't ask for it squared, which is why over here you're seeing me take the square root 0.863.